Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's stories are from Am I the A-Hole? Story 1 is by Gan Mehdi. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad that if his wife censors what I read, I won't visit him anymore? I'm 16 male and my dad is 40-ish. His parental rights were terminated due to abandonment, didn't pay child support, and didn't contact me for over a year, telling us he didn't want me to see him at his worst, alcoholism. He said he was going to start trying now, though. Already started going to alcohol rehab, so my mom started taking me to visit him during the weekends. At first it was going fine, a little bit awkward getting to know each other again. Then my dad's new wife and I had an argument. On that day, my mom had decided that I should spend the night at my dad's place. I brought a book with me. My dad's wife, who's 28, saw it and told me I should not read that book since the protagonist is a bisexual and it pushes LGBT stuff. If it's relevant, it's book 2 of the Trials of Apollo series. I told her she can't dictate what I read since I'm not a kid and she's not my mom, and Dad quickly jumped to her defense. He said she is still his wife, telling me I shouldn't be rude to her in her home. So I told him, fine, I'm not staying then, and I left and went home. Mom said I don't have to go back there if I don't want to, so I told my dad when he called later on that if he doesn't talk to his wife and tell her she can't censor what I read, I won't be returning. He said that what I said was threatening him. Update, just talked to my dad. He said that his wife was only trying to do what she thought was the best for me, and that the only issue is what she thought is best is different from what I thought is best. My dad said I should take that into consideration and also humor her by giving up those books, since she would become a new parental figure for me if I keep up the visits. I asked if he expects me to do what she wants, including when I'm not at their house, and he sheepishly said yes, so I told him that I won't be visiting again. That way I won't have to deal with her. There's no nice way to say this, so I'm just going to say it. His wife sounds like an idiot. They're insane. You cannot be influenced to be that way. All you can do is be told it's okay if you are that way, and don't be afraid of these lunatics who are literally killing people in the United States right now. Be you, and raise both your middle fingers to those people if they try to tell you you can't be you because they don't like it. Just let people be, that's all, that's it. His wife sounds like an absolute moron, and you can't really fix that, unfortunately. Move on with your life and stay away from both of them. If he loves her and she's that way, he's probably just as bad somewhere inside. Down in the comments by Lemon Charlie. Not the a-hole, he was on thin ice and took a hammer to it for his wife. He's shown where his priorities lie, that they aren't in a relationship with you. The only reason his wife would know the LGBT themes is if she read the book or researched it. And I've read the book cover on Google Reads, and it doesn't even allure to LGBT. It's more about hyping that old characters from the Percy Jackson verse are coming back and reiterating the premise of the Trials of Apollo series. Edit. Your edit cements it. He's very presumptuous to think your relationship is strong enough with him to continue visits when he failed the trial run by throwing you under the bus to keep good with his wife. Our next story is by Haley Lupin. Am I the a-hole for not sending out photos of my newborn? I gave birth to my first baby on October 10th. When we got checked in at the hospital, my husband and I obviously told a few people, including my parents. My mom's immediate reaction was, let us know if you change your mind and want us to come to the hospital. Even though for weeks I said I didn't want anyone at the hospital. Then she said she was packing and said, we are coming, of course, but not to the hospital. They assumed they could wait at my house. I said no. After 21 hours of labor and 3 hours of pushing, my son was born and we let my parents know. Immediately they were asking for photos. I understand they're excited and they already love him, but holy crap, I feel like they're being needy and not respecting that I was tired, talking to hospital staff, trying to learn to breastfeed, etc. Once we got moved to a recovery room, my husband and I talked and decided to hold off on sending pictures to anyone, including to his 2 favorite people, his dad and grandmother. So it's not like my parents were being singled out. I can't even explain why we don't want to send pics of our son out right now. We both just have some anxiety about sending a photo to someone, and then that photo spreading like wildfire to people we did not consent to having a photo of our son sent to. so we've just decided to hold off. Not forever, but for now. We've literally already talked about how excited we are to send our first Christmas cards this year, so this isn't a forever thing. My parents lost their mind, blew up on both our phones, stressed me out to the point of tears, so my husband called my dad to ask them to stop, and my dad had the balls to hang up on my husband. And then my dad tells me that him and husband don't need to speak or see each other again. When I was discharged and sent home, I sent my parents 3 texts about us being home and asking to FaceTime them so they could see my son via video since we weren't doing photos. They ignored me. We finally FaceTimed yesterday, and my mom told me she'd been sobbing all day and that it was torture waiting for a photo. I told her she made my labor all about her and that no one asked me and husband what we wanted. It was all about what they wanted. They said they don't understand the photo thing. Everyone else in the world sends photos of their new babies. I said I don't care about the world, and I totally see how sending a photo seems like no big deal, and our decision seems irrational, but you don't have to understand it. You just have to respect it. Well, that didn't go over well. So tell me the truth. Am I being dramatic? Am I the a-hole? My mom said I probably cried in the recovery room, not because they stressed me out, because I was just hormonal and tired. Be honest with me. Are my husband and I drawing a hard line over something nonsensical? I'm going to say you're not the a-hole. It is true, though, that every single person on the planet that has a new baby is all about taking pictures and sharing and sharing and sharing and sharing. You don't have to, and the fact that they just chose not to respect that and cried and cried and cried like it was some slight against them is kind of crazy. Down in the comments by SkyChicken29. You should have been giving it to them that they were stressing out a new mother and that they should be disgusted with themselves, that they are doing that to their daughter. Girl, you gotta give it back to them. Go hard. They have no right to treat you like this. I would be doing the same thing if I were in your shoes. You are the mom. What you say goes. They suck it up and deal with it. Our next story is by WarmButton5482. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom she never had control over what happened with me and her stepdaughter after she got married? I'm a 17 female. When I was 9, my mom told me that she was dating someone. My mom had me when she was young, and my aunt, her sister, took care of me alongside my cousin, and we were the best of friends, as close as siblings. There was a girl in school called Hannah who was pretty awful to every single person. My cousin was included in that more than I was, but she said pretty crappy things to me sometimes, too. Just not as often and nothing as bad as she said to others. She used to call my cousin slurs towards gay people because his friends were mostly girls. She was so young that at the start, teachers would dismiss it as her not understanding what she was saying, and she probably did pick it up from somewhere, but it didn't mean she didn't know what the words she used meant. Hannah was always in trouble, and a few times my aunt was called into the school to discuss what happened with my cousin. Hannah's dad was always in the school too because of her behavior. Hannah wasn't alone either. She had one friend who was even worse than Hannah, and more was done to her. Then when I was 9, I found out my mom started dating Hannah's dad, and they moved us in together quickly, and they were married less than a year later. Hannah was still acting that way after they got married. I ended up not seeing my aunt or cousin much because my mom was mad my aunt didn't include Hannah more, and it's a punishment she denied us the chance to hang out, even though my aunt had acted more like my mom than my mom had up to that point. When Hannah was 13, her friend's parents moved and she never saw her again. After that, she started to try to become close to me. I had always hated my mom marrying Hannah's dad, and I was never open to the idea of being close with Hannah. I hated her then, and nothing has changed on my end, even though Hannah did change and isn't a bully anymore. Hannah has actually been really lonely the last few years because most kids won't give her the time of day, and the ones that do end up ignoring her once they realize how bad Hannah was to the others. My mom expected me to step in and be Hannah's sister and her friend, and we have fought about it a lot. Now that I'm older, I do spend time with my cousin and my aunt, and I don't care if my mom hates it. She told me I should be standing by my family, aka Hannah, and that I'm holding her behavior as a young kid against her too much. She told me she's my mom and she has done everything to raise me better than what I'm turning out to be, and she did her best to bring us closer together. I told Mom she never had control over us just because she got married to Hannah's dad. I told her I would never want Hannah in my life, and I will only ever hardly tolerate her presence, and nothing, she says, can change that. My mom said I was behaving more spitefully than she ever would have expected, and that she was ashamed of me for saying all that. Am I the a-hole? Hannah was a bully in her really young years, and now she wants friendship, and now she wants a sister to hang out with, and your mom wants you guys to bond as sisters. I'm not going to lie, it would be a whole lot easier if you were bonded with her, but you're not. You're not going to do it, and that's just tough. She earned your disrespect when she was younger. She was awful to your cousin, she was awful to you, and she was awful to other people. And just now, she wants people to be closer to her, and she regrets all that. Well, that's tough. It's not as easy to forgive people, let alone forget what they've done to you in the past. And there are some people who would totally forgive and move on and become close with Hannah. But again, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Down in the comments by Medium Well Steak 8888. I think they're suggesting that they 8888 that medium well steak. Not the a-hole. You got a legitimate issue with Hannah, who did genuinely change, but it's not your duty to make friends with her now. Your mom seems to value the concept of family over her individual members. Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, have a remarkable day.